Hello and welcome to the National MS Society's Application Support channel here on YouTube. In this video we're going to be covering the Convio survey response uploads to record physical attendance after an event in the Convio system. An important thing to know about survey responses is you can only add new answers to questions that have not already been answered. Uploads do not overwrite existing answers. As you can see on the slide here, there's a couple things that we're going to need, such as our participant registration report for the event, as well as the Convio sample file. So we're going to go ahead and jump directly into Convio and take a look at the event questions that I had already created for my event, located here. We created a Z-Chapter admin security question so that it doesn't appear on the front end. And when doing this question, because it's going to be the last thing really that's going to be answered since the event's already over, we suggest that you create the question at a later time, and not necessarily when you create the event with your other questions, because you don't want an administrator to accidentally edit responses to registrations for these, as if you go to upload your file once you're done, those records will error out. The next part we're going to jump over to is the participant registration report located under the Reports Classic section. I've already run and downloaded the report to my desktop to save time on the video here. So you would just run the participant reg report so you can gather your participant data. And our sample file, which is located by going to Fundraising and then Team Raiser, choosing the Uploads tab. On the previous page from here, we selected Survey Uploads from our list on the left-hand side and navigated directly to the Step 2, which is Upload File, where you can see it here. So we're going to go ahead and open our sample file to take a look at some of the fields that are located in the file. Not all of these will be needed to perform the upload, but they put them in here so you can see as much information that is available to you. So a couple pieces of info that we're going to grab right away is going to be the fundraiser ID number and question ID number for the upload that we're going to perform. So our ID number for our question is located directly under the question text. So we're going to go ahead and copy that into our sample file. While that's copying, I'm going to jump back over to Convio and take a look at our Team Raiser list and grab the ID number for the event that we're working with as well. In this case, it's our Olympus test event on Dev. An important thing to know about the information that we're looking at here is all the information that was created was done for testing purposes. There is no actual constituent information in any of the videos that will be on this channel. I'm also going to go ahead and grab the name of the event for reference purposes prior to us submitting the upload. We'll paste that in, and under our question text, I'll add that as well. And it was a yes or no type, and our answers are going to be yes here, because the pre-work that you would have already done at from the chapter level is you would have downloaded your report, and you would have added an extra column for yourself and given yourself some kind of indicator as to who physically attended the event, so that you knew which record you were about to upload. And once you sort your sheet by this new column, you'll quickly be able to identify the ID numbers of your participants. So in this case, we're just going to go ahead and take our comms and member ID and paste it into our report. I'm going to remove some of these extra columns that are in here that we don't necessarily need for reference purposes. They're just additional information. So I like to keep the file as small as possible. The less that you're looking at, the less confusing it'll be. I'm going to jump back over to our participant report and grab the names, again, specifically for reference purposes, because as we save our file or finish our file, we're going to remove some of these text-related columns that we don't necessarily need, because Convio will perform the upload using the ID numbers that we've given it. Once you input all of your participant information into our sample file here, you would then basically copy down all the previous columns. So if you navigate to the bottom right hand corner of our selection and hold down the Control key and drag this down to our section, all of the information will copy down. The reason we hold down the Control key is because if you were to bring this down without it, these numbers would have increased by 1 sequentially depending on the row that you were looking at. This is just about ready to be uploaded. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to eliminate some of the columns that we don't necessarily need, as well as this test row that's in the file that's given to you when you download it from Convio. Since we have the FR ID, I don't need the event name. Since I have the question ID, I don't need the text. And since I have the cons ID, because there can only be one in the system, I don't need the other information to identify the participants. Obviously, the last thing and most important thing we'll need is the response for the question. So we're going to go ahead and just save the file, navigate back over to Convio, choose Uploads from our tab here, Survey Registration, give it your the name that you want to do for the upload. In this case, it's going to be Olympus Attendance. And we're going to run it in a test mode to make sure that we can see ahead of time if there's going to be any records that'll fail during the process. So we're just going to choose Browse from the system here, navigate over to our sample file, preview, and you'll be able to see the columns that are in our report. And we're going to go ahead and click Finish. The upload will show on the page here, and you can use this refresh button to try to change this to see when the status changes from uploading to complete. Our test completed. We can click Review and see that the records uploaded with no errors, 5 of them, and it was in a test mode. So we're going to go ahead and click Finish, and then when you want to do it for real, you just do the same process, except you just don't check the box here in Step 2. Click Next. Select Browse from look for the file on your desktop. Preview it if you want to take a look at the file again, and click Finish. And that's about it. So this will now update the custom question that we created for the event. If you have any questions regarding this process, or if you run into any issues, please submit a ticket through the Society's work order ticketing system, and thanks for watching.